Hey guys, Olympia here. So this video is about feeling like a zombie and having issues with awakening to yourself and to your life, and how to move to an awakened state, or at least a state where you take the right action. Zombie. So in this culture, a lot of people are asleep to themselves, asleep to their own dreams, desires, goals, what have you. It's a very common theme in literature, movies, and folklore, and so on, for that particular reason, because it's so pervasive. It's such a pervasive issue in most people. So that's why I want to talk about it, because I can also personally relate to it, and I also see it with certain other people in my life. So yeah, I hope I can give you a bit of an insight into this personality structure and this human conundrum. So why do I say zombie? Zombie, it's because the person is basically not their human self, and the human self includes a good portion of awareness. A lot of monsters in our culture are basically just representations of our dark sides, of our shadow sides. And as I said, it's common for people to become zombies in life. And our culture is kind of, well, facilitating that, or at least monetizing it, by making people mindless consumers, or at least not trying to make them more aware, but rather play into their unawareness so that they can have a nice buck. A good example of someone who is a type 9 and goes through the transformation process of becoming more self-aware is the narrator in Fight Club, played by, what was his name again? Edward Norton. Another good famous example is The Dude. Wait, what was the movie called again? Damn it, I just forgot the title. The Dude. If you know the movie, you know what I mean. The Dude who's always chill and, yeah. So in the Enneagram, which is a very useful personality system, this kind of person is a type 9, and they're called the peacemaker. So that's the positive side, or at least a strong side of the 9. They can be peacemakers because they have this ability to smooth the waters and not rock the boat, basically. And that's like the main issue or focus. The problem here is that because the 9 is so focused on making sure that they don't rock the boat and everyone is fine with what they are doing, they often fall asleep to themselves and their own desires and their own goals and dreams. So it is also called narcotization in the Enneagram, when a 9 uses certain mediums to distract themselves and to bring their mind into a narcotic state. So, for example, almost anything can serve as something that gets their mind off of their own problems, their own selves. It can be food. A lot of 9s have an issue with food because they use it to narcotize their feelings. It can be anything, basically, anything you can imagine, any kind of addiction, whatever. Obviously, not only 9s have this problem, and not only 9 fixes, if you know tri-type, but it's commonly correlated with 9. It also is similar to 7. In the Enneagram, 7 is the kind of person who just like relinquishes their fear, or tries to get rid of their fear by indulging in a lot of things, being a hedonist and going out into the world and distracting them in that way. But 9s are actually very similar in the way that they distract themselves from negative emotions, and those negative emotions are correlated with awakening. The problem is with awakening, oftentimes it's something you would rather not be awake about. It's something that's really, really uncomfortable for you, and 9s love to be comfortable. They don't want this unrest in their souls, because it signifies danger or a lack of peace. Because 9s have learned that by being peaceful and not rocking the boat, they survive the best. Each Enneagram is a survival strategy. Each Enneagram type, I mean. So yeah. So the 9, previously being a human, falls asleep to their own desires, their own selves, their consciousness, and thereby turn into a zombie, an undead being who craves brains. And that's an interesting connection there, because we humans have, as you probably know, a special kind of brain. We have a prefrontal cortex, which is quite developed in us and helps us with making rational decisions, logical thinking, things like that. So that makes us human. And the fact that a zombie keeps having to eat brains is kind of interesting. It is, in a way, also this fixation on food again, like eating, using eating as a distraction from your core issue, and brains being like this thing that gives them consciousness, or they hope we're gonna give them some awareness. So someone who's a zombie in life, who has fallen asleep to who they are, and who are just mindless consumers and like zombies, they greatly benefit from gaining awareness. The thing is, it is difficult to become aware. And how do you become aware? You really have to be brave. There's, in the Enneagram, the 9 has a connection to 6, and when they become unhealthy, they move to 6, or also they can do that in a healthy way, but mostly it's unhealthy. So a 9 becomes afraid of their own desires. They become afraid of delving into that part of themselves that is who they really are. It is scary, you know? As I said, it's scary because it can hurt. And 9s don't want to get hurt. They want to be comfortable. And the thing is, when you become aware of what's actually missing in your life, or what's actually a problem in your life, you realize the lack, and that lack is painful, because then you are faced with the decision of having to do something about it, or just continuing. Because the thing is, as Nietzsche once said, I'm just paraphrasing here, but once you become aware, you cannot fall asleep again, or you cannot become unaware again. Once there's the awareness, it's like a splinter in your mind. You cannot go back to the previous state. 9s often try that, and they can be masters at trying to fall asleep again, but at some point, you just cannot ignore it anymore. At some point, you are awake, and there's no turning back. It's like Neo in the Matrix, you know? Neo suddenly waking up, you know, in his real body, and realizing, wow, so the Matrix is real. Or, well, it's not really real, but you know what I mean. Like, the Matrix does exist in this way, and this is my real life, and now I have to make the decision of either falling asleep again or not, you know. And there's an interesting character in the first movie, I'm not sure what his name was, Cypher? I think Cypher, who chooses, well, who would rather be asleep again. I think in this particular movie Cypher is actually a 6 though, and 6s and 9s can have similarities. They both are not really into rocking the boat, at least the phobic 6 is not. And Cypher, yeah, he is like trying to move to 9 by falling asleep, basically by indulging in the illusion, you know. 9s can be great illusionists in the sense that they live in an illusion of peace and tranquility, whereas if they were awake, they wouldn't be peaceful at all, you know. And it's like such a jolt into reality once you are awake. So yeah, again, the key for 9 is, or for a zombie kind of person, to stop with the distraction. You know, whatever you use to distract yourself to fall asleep. Is it food? Is it anime? Is it, you know, whatever it is? Is it video games? Whatever. Cut it out. You have to stop yourself. You have to sit down and think, you know, and become very clear about what you're running away from or what you're trying to suppress. and really think about what would I like to be, like what is my aspiration in life, or what did I dream of when I was younger, you know? Like, what kinds of dreams would I have if I could have the ideal life, you know? What would it be like? And again, this can be scary, you know? Because then it's like, oh my gosh, like my life is so bad in comparison to my ideal. You don't have to create this uber ideal life in your head, but that's unattainable, you know? You can start small, but it's just starting with dreaming again and starting with setting goals and ambitions. Usually we know exactly what we need to do, but we just don't want to do it, you know? It's like, oh no, I don't want to do it. That's why we procrastinate so much. Like, 9s can also be masters at procrastination. They just run away from the negative feeling of, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe you know, like those fears again. And you can only get rid of those fears and that procrastination by realizing what your true self is, realizing what the true goals are, becoming realistic, you know. That's basically the key for 9 and for a zombie kind of person. So yeah, and that's how 9 moves to 3, to the right action, you know. Like, once you are awake, you can make the right things in life. Like, you can do the things that you need to do in order to reach your goals. Yeah. So yeah, my task for you today is stop with the distraction. Just sit down for just 10 minutes, okay? Like 10 minutes, take away like 10 minutes. And just think and dream. And be very clear about what actually is upsetting you, because 9s often run away from this feeling of upset too, you know. Look at what's really upsetting you, what's making you angry. Try to tap into that feeling. Yeah, and then you'll know, mate. And then you have the choice, and then I want you to actually write it down. Like, write down your goals, write down what you have to do, and then take steps to do it. That's the only way. Okay? I hope that helped and was a bit enlightening. See you in another video. If you have any questions, write them down in the comments, and I can type you, you know? I'm more professional when it comes to Jungian typing, actually, but I can also type you Enneagram type. I do both at the moment, like with an abridged Enneagram type test. I still need to come up with a really long, in-depth test. So when I type your Enneagram, for now it would be mostly like an assessment that's more based on impressions. And yeah, but I would give you, like, you know, we would get a discount for the full test. But you get an Enneagram test typing that is actually can be pretty accurate, and with that in combination, a Jungian typing. So if you really are like, I don't know, maybe I'm a 9, or if you're the kind of person who really cannot figure out that type at all, like, message me, you know. I will put all the links in the description down below. Oops, there's a dog. Then, okay, and yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this. Follow me, please. Please like and subscribe if you really enjoy this content, so I know what you like and I know what to do next. So yeah, wish you a good day. Bye bye, and a good awakening, of course.